Backed by popular demand, I talk about shorts if I like them, Greenlight if I think it needs more work, garbage. Let's do this. This video is connected with the Castoon I did with Eric Bravo, where he talked about various different things involving his short, and how he got to work with Nickelodeon, Warner Bros, he worked on the Penguins of Madagascar, and tons more. So if you want to check that out and see how he got the Outsiders to Nickelodeon Animation Studios, you can check out this video here. So it only makes sense to talk about the Outsiders first. The short uses photorealistic elements, to which we've had 3 shows off the top of my head that has done this: Breadwinners, Pickle and Peanut, and The Amazing World of Gumball. Considering one of the things I enjoy about Gumball is its lack of sticking to a style and having these realistic backgrounds, I don't exactly write it off here as bad. It's hard to exactly pinpoint where it'd be fixed with the short because we don't have any idea where it's going. Is it going to be an overarching story? Do they stay in nature for a majority of the show? It's hard to tell, but if they do, then I can see mixing great photography and nature, but possibly in a more dedicated way than just blurring out the background if they made an actual series out of this. The short centers around Miles, the panda, who's a lot more clueless but fun-loving, and Gerald the llama, who thinks more and seems to be the more calmer one of the two. We center in on a duo, who are on their way home, at least Gerald's home, but because of a dance emergency from Miles the panda, that Gerald is annoyed about, they get into a little bit of a scuffle. This type of duo is pretty standard for Nickelodeon: SpongeBob and Squidward, Alvin and Simon, more carefree loud sister, more cautious loud sister, so I can definitely see Nickelodeon liking it. I just hope it doesn't go into a rut of being more of what we've seen before.
Hear what? My butt blew you a kiss. A kiss from my butt. Bonjour.
The main criticism towards this short that I've seen is its use of toilet humor. Considering I like shows like Clarence, Gumball, SpongeBob, The Loud House, these shows are really good and they use toilet humor, I also don't want to write this off as bad. I just wish that people would say it's not so much toilet humor as a whole they don't like, it's just when shorts or cartoons over rely on toilet humor, because then I can agree. In this short, luckily, it's not the only humor that they use. I definitely enjoy the dynamic between Gerald and Miles. However, if this were to become a series, I'd probably get really tired of Gerald always being mildly annoyed with Miles, considering I'd imagine they're both really young. Generally, you get older and you get grumpier, coming from yours truly. The reoccurring joke is after eating trail mix while drinking juice, your mouth starts to foam.
Do you have any more juice? Okay, put the straw in the pouch.
But wait! The straw appears to already be in the pouch. Quite a thing to miss when that same juice box is crucial to the plot.
Let's go! Coast is clear! Oh, it's not clear!
Possibly one of my favorite jokes. If this show were to be a thing, I'd want more of this humor, sharp subversion. So they wait until it's night, disguise themselves, and get entangled with the bear, but surprise surprise, the bear doesn't kill them. He just wanted to thank them for said trail mix juice combo and repays them with a ride home.
So, what present were you gonna give us?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. A kiss from my butt.
I love this bear!
And fart joke. Overall, I found this to be pretty good. This show for me appears to be the perfect type of show kids 2 to 11. Not something I'd expect many adults to resonate with, but maybe could become something better if it just stuck to being really good comedic wise and also made its art style easier on the eyes. In fact, just a personal tidbit, I don't really find Gerald's design all that great. It's fine, but not to the potential it could go. I'd greenlight it, but it needs that polish before it hits the syndicated screen. The next short in this lineup is Charlie and Mr. 2. I definitely enjoy the art style in this. It's very rich in color, especially the reds and browns in the restaurant being lit up the way it is. The eyes also being very big work within this style. I mean, giant eyes on cartoon characters. Who'd use that? The short revolves around this dung beetle and Pooh, I guess called Charlie and Mr. 2. The main joke in this short is that Mr. 2, you know the one that looks like a poo emoji? Yeah, he stinks. And I did look this up, but dung beetles exclusively feed on feces. And this is a fancy restaurant, so I'm assuming the joke is that in a fancy restaurant, they don't do what common dung beetles do, they do the opposite. You know, like how rather than feeding ducks bread, you just have the ducks deliver the bread. And then, oh, you wanted more. Comedy?
Ooh, how are your potatoes?
Very satisfactory, thank you.
Oh,
I'd like to imagine across 20 or so episodes, the whole stinking concept would get old. In fact, it did. Before this short was even made. The concept itself we've seen in shows like Flapjack, Chowder, Ed, Edd and Eddy, where by association the main characters are seen as lower than the common people or rich folk. I think that combining that with what dung beetles are could actually become something really cool. But the short simply doesn't do anything with the concept besides informing us that poo stinks. And the plot. The plot is that Charlie wants to impress the waitress. While she's working on the job, bro, that's the worst time. But the plot in and of itself is actually not that bad. In fact, I enjoy the waitress. She seems to be the level-headed, humble one of a very snooty restaurant sort of character. She definitely has the personality to become a very likable character. And really, I wouldn't mind seeing more episodes revolving around this. It's just Mr. 2, who actually isn't the worst version of this character I've seen, but there's just fine bits within the short that don't really make sense. I completely understand Mr. 2 being unaware of his stink, because he lives in it, but how does Charlie not see the chaos around him, especially considering the waitress, who is very nice, did notice it, but handled it in the most polite way possible. I really hope this isn't a message about acceptance, because like Bunsen is a beast, on many levels would that be wrong. But on a more positive note, besides the art style and the plot between Charlie and the waitress, I actually do like some of the smaller animation preferences taken, like the short way that Charlie shifts across the floor as a walking cycle, or how this beetle's head literally explodes. Tiny things like this look better in this 3D atmosphere.
Did you still want these?
My potatoes!
I noticed what you did back there. You're a good guy to stick up for your friend like that.
She noticed me!
But yes, beyond being told Mr. 2 stinks from a dung beetle, the short ends with them going home to try again. I'd give this a garbage because of the many ways this could have went and been enjoyable. They went with the obvious joke and slapped lazy subversion that doesn't make it any better. This last short in the mix is Jan and Bobby. The short revolves around Jan, who is hyperactive, very happy, a chatterbox, and Bobby, who is very quiet, brooding, and cynical. They get assigned as science partners, which means they have to coexist with each other. Now, the biggest obstacle for a short like this is to not play up the "wow, we are opposites, that must mean something" cliche that is often done in school-related stories alone. Just because you put two characters who are fundamentally different does not guarantee a great dynamic. The way it generally works is that despite being different, they have a few really big things in common. Now, does this episode do that? For the most part. Part of the art style includes these scribble animations. I know they use this style with Rugrats to give off that very childish feel, and for this I guess it goes with that whole school teenage thing.
Ugh, Bobby's so creepy. She never talks and I feel like she hates me, but that's impossible, right? I mean, how could anybody hate me?
I hate Jan.
The comedy isn't really there, but for a short like this, it doesn't need to. If it goes towards telling really personal high school stories that people can relate to, without feeling condescending or too cringeworthy, then the short was pretty much perfect in concept. I can see people not liking Jan over Bobby, but the short wouldn't work with two Bobbies. The short also works because Jan does not talk down to Bobby. Although a lot of traits her character has are associated with the popular girl stereotype, you can see that she wants to get to know Bobby and become friends.
Why aren't you saying anything?
I have nothing to say.
That's impossible! I have something to say like every second of every day!
Now, they don't describe why Bobby is the way that she is. That doesn't matter. Everyone grows up different.
Tell me! You have to listen to me! Everyone likes me and I have a ton of cute clothes and I'm worth listening to! What?
They bond over this awesome song. If they actually had a full-out series, this is the type of music they would need. I can see this working out really well, with both of them slowly adapting to the other person's ways and trying to survive a school atmosphere. After a while, Bobby admits that she's insecure, to which Jan would also admit she's insecure, and they bond over insecurities, which is sweet. These science posters also really get me. Potato battery, it works? Also, they did this frog dirty. Learning about your life cycle through a science project must be the weirdest experience. But despite going back into their respective friend groups, they understand each other, and that is all that matters. I really enjoyed this short. I like the art style, the name is a little generic, but they make up for it with having relatable characters and this awesome song that they use for the credit scene as well. I'd greenlight it. Nickelodeon, this one wrote itself. It has tons of personality. Please make this a series. So which ones would you greenlight? Which one would you garbage? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, please check out my interview with Eric Eric Bravo. I would love to interview more cartoonists, so if you guys are really interested in seeing stuff like that, I can see what I can do. But in the meantime, really check this one out, guys. And also, like I said, this was heavily requested. I do read all the comments, so if there's something that you would like me to do, let me know in the comments. I may not get to all of them, but I try to get to as many as I can. Special thanks to the patrons of January, and until next time, take care. Alpha out.